So in order to stave off beard dandruff and dog hair, this is a normal occurrence before each video. Just want to make sure I'm crisp and clean and so fresh for each video. It's good. Oh. What's up, guys? Today I have something that I really am excited to show you. This is something that has meant the world to me. It has enormous sentimental value to me. Something that has really kind of changed and shaped a lot of my life and kind of directed me as a tuner through just some crazy times and showed me a bunch of different and totally twisted ways of looking at things. So, but before we do that, I wanted to tell you guys about our Black Friday special. So we are having 15% off all of Fasterproms merchandise, including all of our parts. If you guys happen to have any sort of GM car, especially with a late model supercharger or anything like that, that can be an amazing benefit to you because we have a lot of different things like pulleys, flex fuel sensors, cold airs, thermal plates, all sorts of stuff for all that type of thing. Any purchases on Black Friday will enter you in to win the new MPVI2 from HB Tuners. It has a very decent value, and it is something that I use day in and day out. Really a neat new tool that is out. So check that out, and let's get on to this interesting piece of machinery. So guys, this is almost like a barn find on my own property. It's kind of something that we've had for a long time, and this is actually my dad's 1987 Corvette that he bought new in 1987. Now, it looks like a 1996 Corvette, but at the time, this was the winner of the first two Vet Viper shootouts, so this is actually a really big deal for its time. We've had the car for a while. It hasn't been registered since 2004. So this thing, at one time, was the fastest naturally aspirated vet in the world. He had a number of different magazines, and I'm kind of a weird breed in the fact that I'm a second generation tuner, and there's not many of us around. So that means that, you know, my dad was doing this in 1985. Starting to tune GM vehicles at the infancy of fuel injection. So let's check this thing out. It's got a lot of crazy customized parts, a lot of weird different things of what this thing took in order to be the fastest vet back in the day. So this thing is full weight. This thing with the driver is about 3,600 pounds. And it's got a hard top, which you don't often see on a C4 Corvette. So this was a custom piece that he had. It does have the convertible still intact, also in part to why the weight is so great. But for its time, for us to win the first two Vet Viper shootouts, this thing beat John Hennessy and John Lingenfelter. They brought their cars down into Florida, and we beat them at our own track in the dead of the summer. I mean, it was absolutely miserable hot. This car's been 10.7 at 131, and it's never even actually driven in really cool weather. So this car probably could have 135 mile an hour trap speed if we ran it somewhere up north where the DA was really good. So guys, now I know that at 10.7 nowadays seems like not as big of a deal, but this was over 20 years ago. So back in 1997, this car had gone 10.7 at 131. And for the time, that was like almost unheard of. Having a 10-second street car that you could drive on pumped gas, it just didn't really exist at the time. It was so far beyond just about anything out there. So I'll give you guys the formula of what this thing is all about. So technology has escalated a whole lot in the last 20 some odd years, and nowadays a 10-second car is still very quick, but it's just so much more commonplace. So the car has a manual transmission 373 differential in there, and so check that out. Hasn't been registered since 2004. Got a big beefy fuel system down in there, big 3-inch Flowmasters all the way back there. But that is a Dana 44 differential with the 373s. You've actually broken the stub axles on this thing a couple times. In order to cut a 10-second pass, the car has to have one killer 60-foot. So this thing almost pulled the wheels, but it was cutting 141 60-foot times, which is absolutely outstanding for what it would, for what it takes to do that. But at the consequence of breaking axles and stub axles and so on and so forth. So this thing has broken a couple different stub axles, right down there, and a little bit devastating, kind of ruins your track day. A little bit expensive. He later went on to go ahead and have them cryo treated and so on and so forth, but that's what it takes. So This only has a 2800 stall converter, and it's a 700 R4. So guys, I am a little bit embarrassed in the fact that this thing hasn't really been the best taken care of. There's a lot of reasons as to why. We only had so much space in here, and a lot of times this would have to get pushed out when we were doing certain builds like Leroy, and we had our other clients and so on and so forth in here. This thing, unfortunately, kind of just got shelved, and it hasn't really been running for a while. So, all right, so guys, this is a 420 cubic inch engine, and it's got a lot of custom stuff of what I was kind of mentioning. In the front, we have this area that's all cut out, and that is a true ram air system that's going up into here. So the faster we go, the more air it gets in there. This is also a custom unit that it's in speed density, so we don't have the mass airflow, so this thing really does funnel in some good airflow. This is a monoblade throttle body. So one big trait that my father passed down to me is, as he said, make a better mousetrap. And what that means is that basically optimize each and every component all the way through, and you'll have a better final product. So the cold air is totally and completely optimized. The throttle body, you can't stick a bigger throttle body on it. The intake manifold, my father helped design this intake manifold. It's called a mini ram, made by TPIS. These are some AFR cylinder heads that we have on here that have been highly reported, and they've been ported so aggressively that the epoxy kind of broke off a couple times. We've had to have that repaired. It's a solid roller Jessel valve train, pretty much straight out of what they had for NASCAR back in the day. So another pretty neat unique piece is that this in the factory trim was an air pump, and that actually pumped air into the factory cats in order to get them to light off more. It was an emissions device. But what he had actually done is taken that, changed out the gearing on it, and kind of went from kind of blowing air out to actually sucking air out of the valve train. So this is now a vacuum pump. That actually sucked from right there and created a vacuum and actually made more power. That goes into a catch can down there. So in a lot of ways, kind of recycling something that was factory and now using it to make power. It's really subtle to see, but down in here there is a spacer, and it spaces all the drive components up. But that was in order so that he could get a dual chain timing chain down in there. So every component is spaced out just a little bit in order to be able to get that dual timing chain in there. Kind of a lot of work, something that I wouldn't necessarily be up for nowadays, but in order to really get that competitive edge, that's the kind of stuff that it takes. Yep, got a little bit of mold in there. Just gonna have to have some TLC. So guys, this thing is a has a 700 R4. The tranny's been built and built and built and built, but 6,400 RPM rev limit. It's got that classic kind of crazy 80s looking dash deal. This guy right here, so this is what my father used to do. This is where the name Proms came from. That is the chip, and the computer is kind of a custom mount down in there. So when he wanted to change the EEPROM, you basically just pop that out and put that in. But that's kind of where that came from. So the name Proms means programmable read-only memory, which is a chip. Kind of headliner's a little bit busted, and there's a little bit of mold all over the place, but I remember being 16 years old and my dad taking me out for a ride in this thing, and it was absolutely scary fast when I was 16 years old. Now it's pretty much just a commonplace thing, but man, when you're 16 years old and you got something that's like 600 and something horse, it was absolutely nuts. All right, guys, this is a long shot, but let's just try and start it. There's a very good chance that the battery is pretty darn dead, but let's give it a shot. So we should be able to... No, we got a dead battery. She's been down a while, but I was just hoping the battery would work. This thing has a wicked starter. We're going to try and get this thing fired up and go through, at least take a couple more test drives. I wanted to talk to you guys about what we should do moving forward with this, getting this thing up and running. So part of me wanted to keep the car kind of the way that it is and just preserve it, but we kind of talked about some stuff for a while, and it was my wife's idea to try and put some later model power in it, and I think it would be great with a 10-speed automatic. So if we put something like an LT with either a turbo or a supercharger or something on it, some sort of late model LT motor with that 10-speed automatic, that would be pretty cutting edge for now, just like this was cutting edge for its time way back then. So guys, one of the big important things that really kind of shaped me growing up as a tuner and wanting to aspire to being, a tuner is the fact that this thing was so far ahead of its time, and it was so incredibly powerful, and I was able to access something that was a record-setting car that I could take out and drive. My dad passed away when I was about 18 years old, and this thing has kind of been just one of those things that, you know, it's always kind of been around, and unfortunately I didn't take care of it in the best that I possibly could, but I have tried to take care of it and do a number of other odds and ends in order to kind of upkeep it. And then in the last, you know, probably 7-8 years, it really just kind of got shelved. Just a lot of stuff with work and business, all of those things kind of came in and just, unfortunately, it kind of got the back burner, and it's been out here for a while. So now I'm looking at possibly doing something with it. I want some help from you guys to help name it. We've never actually had like a formal name for the car or anything like that, and possibly some suggestions as to what we should do with it. Now, the car was always a street car and a drag car, but we would drive to the track with this thing, run our time, you know, change the tires, and then go back home. It was always like that. It was never a trailer queen, nothing like that. It would be pretty cool to be able to keep something like that. But just shooting from the hip for me, I was thinking that new 10-speed automatic is amazing. With late model LT power, I think we can do something pretty darn sharp. So we'd like to explore that option, but I'd like to hear from you guys about all that. I remember my dad buying this car and where we even bought the car from and all that. So guys, this car has been in my life for over 20 years, and I want to do something special with it. This car actually used to be white, and it was convertible, and now it is black with a hardtop. So I think we need to do some more modernization as far as with the power plant. I want to hear from you guys what you think we should probably do. I love that new 10-speed automatic transmission, and I like the new late model 8 LT power. It is amazing. Possibly something with forced induction. Well, definitely got to be forced induction for sure. May the forced induction be with you as well. This, we'll probably do something with this engine, maybe find something else to do with it. But so guys, the real quick story of this is that basically my father had some health problems. He ended up passing away when I was about 18 years old. So this is in 2000. We've had the car ever since then, and I've kind of just been taking care of it. There's some things that I've definitely not been taking care of well, but the car's kind of hung around. It hasn't really been registered in like 13 years. I've put a lot of money into trying to do certain upkeeps for it, but it has been a little bit of something that I've always kind of thought about doing something with. We were supposed to sell the car, and it's just kind of hung around. So I don't totally know what we're going to do with this thing. I would love to get this thing back on the drag strip and back on the street and kind of restore it and such. This car does mean a lot to me. It has a lot of sentimental value. I appreciate you guys for taking the time and kind of sticking with me and explaining where this thing kind of came from and where I came from, what Fasterproms means and all that. So we're looking for input from you guys as to what we're going to do with this thing. You know, hopefully I can get it back out on the street and back at the drag strip. It would be a lot of fun to do. Guys, I want to wish you guys a fantastic Thanksgiving. This is really the beginning of the best time of year. I love the fall. I love, you know, kind of going into that Christmas season. This is definitely the best time of year. Look forward to bringing you guys a lot more stuff coming up very, very soon. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned, my friends. See you soon.